So today we're here to celebrate SACAP's 25th birthday. So for 25 years we have been innovating in higher education, doing things differently, really practicing an insurgent applied psychology with the intention to really have an impact on our students, one student at a time as they come in through our doors, but also to have an impact on the mental health of South Africa largely. So we're here to celebrate that. We're here to celebrate 25 years of that, but we're also here to launch our beautiful new Johannesburg campus, which opened its doors 2 years ago actually, but was rudely shut down by COVID very quickly. So we're also here to just celebrate this beautiful new campus and share it with you and with our students as part of our birthday celebration. I think people often think mental illness looks a certain way, or people act a certain way, or you would know if somebody was struggling with their mental health. But they don't call it the invisible illness for nothing. I think, you know, a large proportion of the population across the world, but in South Africa in particular, struggle with their mental health, whether that's anxiety, whether that's depression, or whether that's more serious forms of mental illness such as schizophrenia. But it's often those more serious forms of illness that get the most attention because it's more visible. And really the burden of mental health sits in your anxiety and your depression, which are issues facing people on a daily basis. So I think the question around how do you see it is sometimes a difficult question because it's not visible. I think the important question to ask is, how do we speak about it? How do we start acknowledging it in spaces, in workspaces, in school spaces, in university spaces? And the only way to really find out about somebody's mental wellness or mental health is to ask them about it. And I think, you know, historically, particularly in South Africa, there's been a lot of stigma associated with mental health and with seeking mental help. And the only way we're going to break down that stigma is to bring it out into the light and to talk about it more and more openly in our homes, in our schools, in our businesses, in our families. That's how we break down the stigma.
I did my B.Psych degree through SACAP. I started in 2018 and I finished my degree in 2021. What attracted me to psychology was actually a childhood experience. I was born and bred in Alwell North in the Eastern Cape, which is a small town, and the realities of being raised in a small town like that has shaped my career path, and I knew when I was very young that I would be doing psychology when I'm older. I think one of the highlights for me is my position, which is being of service to the community of SACAP, which is our students, helping them and shape their career paths, their psychosocial well-being. That has been the highlight for me. I have always affiliated myself with positions where I will be of influence, and this position is giving me just that. The reason why it is important to recognize and celebrate mental health in our society is because what mental health is today is not what it was before. I think that if we can focus and raise awareness on mental health, we can fix so many social ills in our society. And I think that it is very, very important to celebrate mental health and encourage people to take care of themselves.
One of the reasons was how strong their degrees came across, and my mom works in education, and I obviously had that support and to say, okay, this and this and this lines up, and this and this and this lines up. But more importantly, other than what their degrees represented, was the way they made me feel as a person. That for me was the most important thing. From the moment I had my first phone call to the moment I walked in through these stairs, I didn't feel like a number, didn't feel like another student. I felt a part of this family. And then that was just a constant image that was revisited throughout my term at SACAP. I always felt a part of a family, always felt warmth and love. So that's the main reason why it gravitated me to this institution. And then lo and behold, everything here aligned with what I wanted to be and where I wanted to be in life. For me personally, I'd prefer the physical campus. I love engaging with my lecturers. I love being a part of conversations, and I said to one of my educators that had I not had them physically and engaged with them the way I did in one of my modules, I don't think I would have gotten such rich knowledge and learning from them. Online, the learning is the same, but for me, who's a visual learner, an auditory learner, that played on my sensory experience a lot more. Online, it was difficult, but the way SACAP had designed it was you still got the experience that you needed. It was just in a different modality, and it was very isolated, so you don't feel a part of the social campus and the liveliness, and I think that's the downside of having to be a part of online in contrast to the on-campus experience. So obviously I wasn't here for the whole 25 years, but I've been here for the last 3, and I'll say I think SACAP's come a long way, and they have a long way to go as well. I think 25 years for them symbolizes a lot of success and strength that they've achieved. I think for the SRC alone, I think they have achieved a lot, and I think it's amazing. I think that we're around for 25 years. I'm sure it feels like we've been around for longer. Studying feels like we've been around for a long time. So yeah, I think it's a really good experience. It's a really good event to have and a day to hold. I think the sad thing is that South Africa focuses way too much on physical health. And physical health becomes like the primary source of focus, especially because when you look at other scenarios, the basic needs can only be met for the physical health aspect. Mental health doesn't always get taken seriously or at the same level of physical health. And research shows that, or there's a theory, an approach that says, what's biological is psychological, and similarly what's psychological is biological. So to answer the question, why is it important? I think South Africa doesn't focus enough on mental health. Specifically men's mental health. I think there's many things that further impact mental health in other spectrums that have a mental health aspect to it, and then we don't focus on it enough. I also think that the awareness doesn't come in at the level that it should in South Africa, and I think that's where, or why rather, it's important to focus on mental health in South Africa.
For more stories like these, go to www.social-tv.co.za, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on our social mediums.